With us, we will now link up with Eshomomo Imodu and Tijesu Adiri in our Abuja studio for FCT Brief. Good morning, guys. Over to you now.
Good morning, Veronica, and happy Thursday to you.
Yeah, good morning, Veronica, and to the team over there in Lagos. It's still in the sad mode concerning the Benue killings.
Yeah. Well, the president was there yesterday. I would say I was quite impressed because he made some very strong statements.
Exactly, yeah.
I like the fact that he didn't color anything. He made it clear and he made himself very firm. And I think for the governor himself, I think he needs to go back to the drawing board
Put his acts together.
Put his acts together. Know what, you know, it's your people that are concerned here. You have to take this security situation serious. Come back to call. I believe you should have advisors. Call your advisors and let them know what to put in the security measures to put in place. The IG of police as well has been given a matching order.
Yeah, I like what the president said to him.
I hope he really effects that, because it's one thing to say one thing and it's another thing to take it into full effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The president actually told the IG that he's surprised that there has not been arrest up to this moment, and that is the very clear message. If something of that magnitude happened and we've not heard that people have been arrested, I guess he must have taken seriously the remark of the president, because even if the president whispers something, it carries presidential weight. So what the president said yesterday carried presidential weight, and I want to see arrests made. I want to really see real action taking.
When the president arrived the Benue state, we saw that Governor Ali had already aligned school children by the road under the rain. I'm like, is that something that should take priority?
Yeah, there was something also that happened. Just there was this flood that blocked the Abuja, the Makurdi road. It was like the flood greeted the president when the president arrived there. And that tells you also that there's another disaster that we must pay serious attention to.
Well, I just hope that all these things are put into perspective, because lives matter. You know,
let's go to what we have for you today. Now, hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us on FCT Brief. Top on our agenda today is the lingering violence in Benue State, where grief-stricken communities are once again counting their dead. Following renewed attacks in parts of the state, residents are calling on government and security agencies to act decisively, declaring that they are tired of mourning and now demand justice in Guma, Logo, and Ukum local government areas. Black clouds hung over the villages, not from rain, but from smoke, which is the aftermath of yet another round of violent attacks. Now, dozens have been killed, homes razed, and farmlands abandoned. For many in Guma, sorrow is becoming a painful routine, but this time their grief is mixed with growing anger.
President Bola Tinubu has mandated the country's service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to go after those behind the dastardly killings in Benue State, which have left scores of people dead and many others severely injured. The president issued the order on Wednesday during his visit to Benue State following the renewed attacks in the north-central state. However, for the people of Benue, promises no longer bring comfort, as many are accusing the federal authorities of turning a blind eye to their plight. Let's now join TVC News correspondent in Benue State, Mayowa Okwato, who is joining us live via Zoom. Mayowa, I would like to ask you, what's the current situation now after the president's visit? President Tinubu made some reassuring statements to, the residents of the state, but do they take this in full trust? Are they trusting the president on his word this time around?
Yes, Tijesu, good morning. Let's just have a quick recap of the president's visit. He arrived yesterday in the morning as early as 11. Proceeded straight to the Benue University Teaching Hospital to visit the victims, see the level of damage done. then moved to the government house. But before moving to the government house, he was supposed to visit the Yewata community. But as you mentioned, the flood in the morning and the rain that didn't stop. He moved to the government house to address the stakeholders meeting. Now, I believe this movement or this arrangement of program shows how strategic the visit of the president is to Benue. Now, today, this visit was was greeted with mixed reactions from different people, politicians, the businessmen, and civil servants. Some said it was timely, as the people are expected to feel the presence of the federal government, the president's presence filled that gap. So these are the reactions we're getting. Some even appreciated. Going on social media, you see some appreciating the visit of the president, believing and hoping the end result would come out good. And we should remember, during the visit, the president made mentions of some recommendations for the state governor, neighboring states, even suggests that the Inspector General of Police to make arrests. So these are developments that we believe will bring out a solution to this crisis, particularly in Benue State and North Central.
All right, we'll come back to you, Mayowa. Let's call in another guest, Dave Ogbole, who is a resident of Benue State. Mr. Ogbole, it's good to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you. Well, the president openly called out the Inspector General of Police yesterday after giving him a marching order to go after these attackers. But he also raised concerns on the issue of no arrests being made. We also had a guest on this show, I think 2 days ago, who mentioned that residents don't even trust security agents in the state, to provide security for them. So have they won the trust of these security agents, even with the president's, instructions?
First of all, I'd like to commend the president for his visit to Benue. That is a sign that he is responsive. For him to cut other state engagements off and then hurry to Benue yesterday, it's a sign of his responsiveness to the situation in Benue. It is, however, sad that an ugly cycle is repeating itself. The first time President Muhammad Buhari was visiting Benue after his election in 2015 was in the middle of crisis like this. And it's so sad that the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is visiting Benue also in the middle of a crisis like this. We wish that he was coming in for project commissioning and other partnership for development in Benue State, but whatever has happened has happened. In my opinion, the president's speech yesterday comprises of 5 elements. Number 1, a long lecture on tolerance and cohabitation, and then the need for dialogue between the governor, government officials, and the headers on ground there, and then also the formation of a committee that should comprise of traditional institutions, very notable past governors, and also the governor of Nasarawa State and so on, and then the spotlight on ranching, and then finally the marching orders to the security agencies to fish out the killers. In my opinion, there was a more focus on the political talks rather than the hammer of justice coming down on the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. I can just imagine if the American president came to a scene where 200 people or 200 Americans were massacred in cold blood, unprovoked, unjustifiable attacks. I know the American president is going to be very heavy on justice while he offers hope and reassurance to the victims of that community. But in our case now, the matter of justice was just an addendum or after a long political lecture. So that has not offered hope. That has not offered encouragement to the people. And then come to think of it, Yesterday was the second time Kayode Egbetokun will be in Benue State within 1 week. Last week he was there and he was supposed to be, rejigging the security apparatus to see that this violence is curtailed or mitigated. But it was after his departure that the carnage of Yellowater, where over 200 people were massacred in cold blood, happened. The Chief of Army Staff was also in Makurdi. The National Security Advisor was also in Makurdi. So all of these bigwigs and heavyweights present in Makurdi, yet whatever happened on the night of 13th to the morning of 14th in Yellowater still happened, is a sign actually of ineptitude on the part of the security forces. President Tinubu did not need to give marching orders or ask, why has nobody been arrested? That question is not a question of marching orders. It's an indictment on the ineptitude and lack of efficiency of our security agencies. You don't rationalize acts of terror. Any terror you rationalize, you fertilize. Okay. So it is good at least that he has spoken on the part of justice, but we needed a weightier and stronger statement, condemning the violence, and it's something more passionate that will drive the security agencies to actually be able to do their job.
All right.
And I can understand it.
Yeah, Mr. Ogbole.
Hello?
Yeah. Let me just give you, let me just have a follow-up question for you. The mood in Benue State, especially in Yellowater community, would like to know the mood in there, and you watching from the flank. What is it like? What kind of actions would you advise the various committees, whether the committee of ex-governors, the committee of prominent citizens, the one that will involve the governor of Nasarawa State? What actions, immediate actions, will you expect that they take so that we don't have another ugly incident that may necessitate this kind of meeting that was held yesterday? What immediate action will you advise the committees to begin to take?
Actually, it is a single committee. It's not several committees. It's a single committee involving these actors that you have mentioned. That is what the president recommended. And in Nigeria, we are not new to matters of committees. Committees are usually the normal response to critical situations like this. I am not expecting committees to be formed now. I'm expecting a stronger marching order for our security agencies to comb the vicinities around Benue State, from Agatu to Way West, all through to Guma, Logo, Ukum, all of these flashpoints. Let the security agencies mobilize into action quickly, because these herders, these terrorists, these marauders, these criminals are still hiding in those places, and their locations are known. So the immediate response of the forces of the law is what we expect now, not even committees. The moment you mention committees in Nigerian government parlance, people lose confidence as far as the course of action to come is concerned. But if the committee will eventually gather, the first thing I'll advise as a recommendation is to set the narratives for this killing straight. There is confused narrative now going on. Number one, it is called skirmishes, communal clashes, and effect or impact of international criminals and so on. No. Benue citizens are farmers by nature. And anytime you have hoofs on ground entering farms, there is bound to be crisis between farmers and herders. And the moment that happens is always followed by allegations of cattle rustling. And after the cattle rustling allegations, the militia moves in to kill and then to sack communities. And then the herders move into these communities, eating from the barns and the farms of Benue farmers and living within their houses. There are Benue communities that have been occupied since 2016. The people have not been able to go back to their ancestral homesteads. That's the reason for the multiple IDP camps hosting over 1 million people in Benue State. The first response should be setting the narratives clear so that the federal government can know the adequate interventions to deploy in terms of military and also in terms of both relief and emergency succor for those who have survived. And then number 3 recommendation, there is currently a North Central Development Commission. I advise strongly that the committee will work hand in hand with the North Central Development Commission officials to articulate or do a proper needs assessment for the damages that have been done across Benue State so that there can be post-crisis rehabilitation for all of the victims. These are the things I will recommend for the committee to focus on very quickly.
All right. We'll still come back to you, Mr. Ogbole, but that will be right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're glad to have you back. You're still watching FCT Brief. And we're still discussing the president's visit to Benue State in respect of the Benue killings. Now, Mr. Ogbole, President Tinubu suggested ranching as a long-term solution to this issue. I also understand that there is also a bill in this regard in the National Assembly as we speak. But land is also a sensitive issue in Benue State. Do you think that people are willing to give up their land in support for peace in this regard?
I was part of the delegation from Benue State that presented memorandums in public hearings in Abuja between 2016 and 2017. And when the National Assembly, their Agri Service Committee and the Police Service Committee, we met with them, and they went back to the House, the resolution of the National Assembly then was that the matter of making laws to checkmate or to regulate the relationship between herders and farmers should be abdicated to the state assemblies. And that was the resolution. And it was on the heels of that that the Benue State House of Assembly passed into law a bill prohibiting open grazing and providing for the establishment of ranches in Benue State. And in 2017, Governor Samuel Otom signed that bill and it became an act. So the bill in National Assembly is not as important as the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law that is in Benue State. And upon the emergence of this current administration of Governor Hyacinth Yomen earlier, the provisions and enforcement of that law was greatly slacked. It was almost as good as suspended. And that made room for the influx of cattle into Benue State en masse. If not in the time of Samuel Otom, when the law was enforced, there was little, presence of cattle, and those were just some stubborn elements. And usually, they will impound the cattle, and then these people will pay fine, and they usually will move them out of Benue State. There was relative peace then until this law was slacked. So the matter of ranching is something that has been provided for in the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law. He's simply saying, enforce the law. That is what President Tinubu is saying. Enforce the law that is on ground, that has provided for ranches. And if it is within the provision of the law, section 10 of the law provided that whoever wants to do animal husbandry in Benue State can approach traditional authorities, and then these traditional authorities now, who wield influence over landowners in rural areas, can hold meetings with those people and facilitate land acquisition for the purpose of ranching, not for the purpose of free open grazing. And ranches, one of the characteristics is that it's an enclosed circle where the cattle are controlled and the cattle are also fed, either from natural and also formulated feeds. So, Benue people are willing to comply with the law and provide land. It is the movement of cattle from one farmland to the other that ferments this trouble. So, Benue people are willing to provide land for the establishment of ranches, especially if there are appropriate quarters or channels.
All right, Mr. Ogbole, we'll come back to you now. Mayowa,
yes.
Just give us an update, what you have seen from just before the president came in yesterday and after he left. What is the mood in Benue State like? I mean the community now.
Okay, before the coming of the president yesterday, the mood was quite really down, angry, anxiety, people frustrated, in pain. You hear people crying. Even we saw all this during the protest. So now that's drawn the attention of the federal government, which brought the president down to Benue, Makodi to be precise, yesterday. And this visit was greeted with mixed reactions, some appreciating the president for showing concerns for the victims, visiting the hospital and speaking on it at the stakeholders meeting. Some even felt it was timely because they needed to feel the presence of the federal government with them. They needed to feel that they are not alone in their pain. Some in the hospital sad, still looking how to put their life together. So all this is still left with mixed feeling in the atmosphere in Benue. So that's just what it is right now. So right now, the whole place is calm. Right now, the people are feeling hopeful and, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll let you go now. But we'll come back to you. We are coming back to you, Mr. Ogbole. Governor Aliu's team has come under fire, especially after those school children were lined up under the rain to welcome President Tinubu. Was this a show of poor judgment, and does the governor need to reshuffle his media and protocol team?
Basically, it would be wrong to hold the governor accountable for every misstep as far as this whole issue is concerned. When I saw the governor yesterday, I was personally very concerned for him in terms of his mental health. He looks very pensive. He looks very traumatized himself. So I can say he's not in the right frame of mind to take some of those micro decisions like putting school children out. I had it on authority that one of the henchmen at the State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, was the one that requested that some secondary schools bring their children out there. I know the governor is not aware of that, and the governor wouldn't approve of school children lying out in the rain. That is one thing I can assure you of. And then number two, I know the president himself will not want that kind of welcome, where you endanger the health and the lives of school children in the name of solidarity. That was totally wrong. I want to urge the governor of Benue State to investigate that and to bring that particular officer who ordered the school children to come out in the rain to book. That is not a reflection of the kind of responses that we should be having at this kind of time.
Yeah, Mr. You notice also that... Mr. Ogbole, the governor is the one hosting, the state hosting Mr. President. The governor is the chief executive of the state. Would somebody order children out and stay in the rain without the knowledge of the governor? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, just like somebody who is a special assistant on coalition and support groups ordered that coalition and support group should come in colorful uniforms to welcome the president. He even had his letter-headed paper that he wrote that circular on. And later, when the governor got to know about it, he was reprimanded, and he had to come up with an apology, open apology to retract that later. It's a sign of confusion and lack of coordination as far as the government apparatus is concerned. And this situation seems to be taking advantage of the governor's, a mental situation right now. So there's no coordination in the media appearances.
Okay, you want to go on?
Yeah. Right. Well, do you think that President Tinubu's visit right now the president has come to Benue State, do you think that there is going to be a turning point in the security situation in Benue State? Are you convinced?
I am not convinced yet. A visit is as good as what has been discussed and the line of action that has been reached in a visit. So I think we missed the point, or we missed the opportunity or the moment to score a point against terror yesterday in Benue State. A strong message should have been sent to the apparatus of terror that is holding Nigeria hostage all across, from northeast to northwest to central Nigeria, even to the southern part of Nigeria, southwest, southeast. There is a terror, there is a menace right now, and our military is overstretched to her limit. We don't have enough to combat. Nigeria is hemorrhaging. A strong message should have been sent yesterday from Benue State, an epicenter of violence, unprovoked attacks, to the rest of the terror apparatus of Nigeria. Yesterday, Benue State was just a pulpit for the president to preach justice and to preach safety for Nigerians. That opportunity was missed because a whole bulk of his speech was on political lectures, and then the security and justice was just a final addendum to it.
All right.
So he didn't really give hope. He didn't really give assurance. So we are not sure that the situation will have a turnaround.
Okay, just a quick one. You said the political lecture, but also let's look at briefly at this other aspect. The governors seem to, the political class, whether the federal and the state level, are so divided. And for the president to say, let there be a committee that will involve ex-governor and some other individuals, suggests something that if you don't put the political climate in Benue State together, you may have a series of breakdown of law and order. So what is the situation? How can we manage this drift, this division between the political class in your states?
You see, every division among political class in a state is premised on one thing, and that thing is called interest. When somebody feels shortchanged as far as his interest in terms of the governance structure is concerned, he feels aggrieved. When another person feels that his interest is about also to be subverted, he feels aggrieved. So it's a battle of interest. One fighting to have more interest, and another fighting to preserve the current interest that they have. So, but all of these things are a sign that the major element in governance, which is the office of the citizen, has not risen to have full role and responsibility yet across Nigeria and a major portion of Africa. That has occasioned the fact where politicians think that governance is all about them. Governance is not all about them. The people gave you power on trust in a social contract for 4 years, and if by reason of some mercy or grace or extension, 8 years. The people really own the power. So the people should be the substance, the end point, the major point of consideration as far as governance is concerned. Right. Not the interest of two factions, one in Makurdi, one in Abuja. No, we are getting it all wrong. Governance is about the people, not about the interests of a few politicians. Yes. And it is high time to enlighten the masses so that they can rise up and exercise their power as the office of the citizens and begin to demand accountability from these leaders.
Well, Mr.
Once
Ogbole,
the office of the citizen rises, like
Mr.
it did in Kenya,
Mr.
like
Ogbole,
it
I
did
need to
in
throw in this question because we have run out of time.
The leaders will sit up. So, as it is now, let them throw away their personal ego. Abuja camp, Makurdi camp, throw away their personal ego and look to the interest of the people of Benue.
All right. Now that I have your attention, President Tinubu made a statement and he said the life of a human is more important than that of a cow. How significant is that statement? In 30 seconds, we just have 30 seconds.
The significance of that statement varies from culture to culture. Because as soon as President Tinubu left Benue, the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, McBan, issued a statement. And what was the statement? They said about 40,000 of their cows have been killed. So while Tinubu is there protesting for human lives, they are protesting for the lives of cows. So that statement varies from culture to culture in terms of significance. For the Fulanis, they value their cow more than they value human lives. It's President Tinubu that values human life more than the lives of cows. All
right. Thank you so much for your contributions on the program. It was a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day, TVC.
You too.
Well, that's where we'll leave the conversation this morning. We hope that the life of every Nigerian and every human is important to us all. Well, we'll now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, TJ.